Welcome to part 2 of the story, The Reserved Chair, with the YouTube title of A Blessing for the Bronx. Rabbi Rabinowitz please make sure you listen and watch part 1 before you start part 2 here. Rabbi Rabinowitz took the job in the Bronx, as Rabbi Rayatz agreed to, and after he had been doing it for a while, he came to realize exactly what the Rebbe Rayatz had in mind, the sixth Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, what he had in mind when he made the mysterious statement, the shul is a shul, but I don't care for the shamish, the shul caretaker. The shamish was indeed had a fine-looking Jewish appearance with a long beard and all the trimmings. But he wasn't really that religious, that strictly religious. In fact, one time, Rabbi Rabinowitz caught him lighting the candles for the shul after Shabbos began. He yelled at him, and the Shamish got angry with him. And after that, he began making Rabbi Rabinowitz's life miserable. He combated him on shul procedures, and even worse, he spoke negatively about him to to different members of the congregation and to the trustees, and he managed to turn a considerable percentage of the congregation against Rabbi Rabinowitz. Rabbi Rabinowitz decided he needs to speak to the Rebbe Rayatz again about this, and he went for a third time to speak to him. And when he told the Rebbe about all the aggravation that he was having, and maybe he should quit, the Rebbe said, "No, you must not quit. I told you the shul is a shul, even though I don't care for the shamish. You should keep the job." So he went back, but things only got worse. And he just couldn't take it anymore, and he ran back yet another time to ask the Rebbe for permission to quit. And the Rebbe told him, "V'ezrat Hashem, with the help of God, things will get better. And remember, the shul is a shul with everything in it, and God should help you." So Rabbi Rabinowitz accepted what the Rebbe said, and then as he was leaving, the Rebbe called him again and said, "You should come back again Sunday morning." So that's what he did. After that Shabbat on Sunday morning, he made the 1 hour plus journey by subway to Crown Heights in Brooklyn from the Bronx, and when he got there and he got out at the Kingston Avenue station, he saw there was a large funeral taking place. It turns out that the Rebbe Rayatz had passed away that Shabbos day. Yud Shvat 5710 in the year 1950, and then he understood. The Rebbe knew that he would want to be there. That Rabbi Rabinowitz would want to be there. A year went by, but the situation hadn't gotten any better for Rabbi Rabinowitz. It was just as oppressive. And after the first yortzeit of the Frierdiker Rebbe in 1951, the previous Rebbe, so Rabbi Rabinowitz heard that the younger son-in-law had accepted to be the new leader, and so he decided to go see him about this problem. And after he told him about all the difficulties he was having with the shamish, the Rebbe just smiled and he said, "Rabbi Rabinowitz, I don't understand. Didn't my father-in-law tell you that the shul is a shul, but he doesn't care for the shamish?" Rabbi Rabinowitz was shocked, speechless. How could he possibly know about this? And the Rebbe continued, "So if my father-in-law didn't care for him as a shamish, so he will have to stop being the shamish." Rabbi Rabinowitz said, "But I don't have the power to fire him. If I did, I would have done that a long time ago." And the Rebbe said, "Well, if you catch him doing something wrong, and this time that there are witnesses, so then he'll be removed from the position for sure." So Rabbi Rabinowitz took encouragement from the Rebbe's confidence and blessing, and he went back to the Bronx. The very next morning, on his way to shul, because he always went, he went early to shul. The minyan was anyway early, we were working people, but he was always the first one there. He was very surprised to meet the president of the congregation also coming to shul at the same time as he was. The man never came that early. But they met together, so they were chatting, and as they entered the shul, they were received by a shocking sight. There was the gabbai emptying all the tzedakah boxes, the money from all the tzedakah boxes, into his pocket. Well, it wasn't just the rabbi that saw it. The president of the shul thought it. All his machinations couldn't help the shamash at all. He was fired on the spot. But then, so after that, things went very smoothly for Rabbi Rabinovitz and with the congregation. But after several years, a new problem arose. What had happened? Previously, there had been a butcher shop next to the shul. That is, they shared a common wall, and the butcher shop prospered greatly. And the butcher decided that he would be better off to open on the opposite side of the main street a much larger store, which he did, and there also he did quite well. One day he came to the shul and announced to the board, to the trustees, that he wants his property back. Since he's doing so well, he needs all the space available to serve customers. So he wants his property back to use as a warehouse. Well, you can imagine they were all shocked, and they were in the shul, and then said, "There's no way that we're going to vacate. The shul is ours. You sold it to us." But he denied that he'd ever sold it to them. They refused to vacate, and he took them to court. Well, of course he won. They had no proof. They had no proof. It had been a handshake deal, as often happens among religious Jews. For various reasons, they didn't sign a contract. And after the official court decision, so the shul was served with an eviction notice. They were so upset they didn't know what to do. All Rabbi Binowitz could think of was to go to see the new Lubavitcher Rebbe. Well, not so new anymore then, and he went to see the Rebbe, and he told him all about what had happened. The Rebbe said, "Rabbi Rabinowitz, I see you are not a chassid." And the Rebbe said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Didn't my father-in-law tell you that the shul is shul, the shul is a shul, and everything that belongs to it?" Well, if my the Holy Father-in-law, the Rebbe, said the shul is a shul, with everything belongs to it, it can't become a butcher shop. And he gave him a blessing for good news. Rabbi Vidas was quite perplexed. How did the Rebbe know about that also, that statement also? But he took hope from the Rebbe's words and his blessing, and he went back to the Bronx somewhat hopeful. End of part 2. Please continue on to part 3. I know this is a very long story, even longer than my usual long stories, but I felt it worth it because it shows so beautifully the flow from the 6th Rebbe to the 7th Rebbe. Stay tuned for part 3 and the grand conclusion.